Hey guys, Bombarder here. Regarding this sabre, if I do it as a run, right? This is what I'm talking about by the imperfections. This sabre is seriously solid. You know, you're going to be able to duel with this. Simple as that. The imperfections I'm talking about and the work that's going to be needed to get this up to a high standard for anyone to want to display on their shelf is these mould lines. You see the edges here aren't straight. You've got these plugs. This is where the plugs come in when they do the casting. You've also got imperfections like this line along here where it should have this texture. You're going to have these, so really you need to polish out this whole section to get it up to a high level. And then you've got here, this is where another plug was put in and they weld the hole up. This is why I can't have them made in aluminium, because the plug holes they can't weld on aluminium, but they can weld the bronzes. So you see you've got these edges that are not quite straight. Filing, you can get them nice and straight, but it takes a lot of work to do it. You've got this plug here. Basically you're going to need to hacksaw that off or use a grinder to cut it off, and then file it flat so that you can put the pommel on. Like these little imperfections, see these little divots, these like little lumps that can be filed off. And then underneath that's another hole that's been welded up where the core plug went in for the cast to be made. And you've got these sort of marks here. I mean, if you're going for a weathered look, it'll be brilliant. It'll look like it's meant to look, like a used weapon. Ventress used her weapons a lot, so unless she was into keeping them clean and sparkly, which I very much doubt she was, it's going to fit perfectly with a weathered version. In terms of size, I mean, I don't know, can't say offhand, but I would say it's around about the same size, maybe a tad longer than Erin's full switch sabre. You know, and for anyone that might think this is one of Erin's and I've ripped it off and taken cast from it, trust me, it's not. Erin's has got a secondary blob on the top. The pommel for this is completely different. You can see the shaping of the handle at the back is completely different. It hasn't got the holes underneath where there would be holes for switches to go for starters. It hasn't got a separate piece that is held on with Allen bolts or grub screws. I can't remember what it was that Erin designed these with. This is where the hard work starts to come in. This is too small for a 1-inch blade, and it's too big for a 7/8. So you need to either file this out like I have done to fit the 1-inch in, or you make a sleeve up so that the sleeve will sit in there, which is probably what I'll be doing. But this one, because it's just a prototype, I've just filed it out just so I can get it in, get an electronics install done. And you can see the inside is not very clean at all because it's cast, but it's good enough that I'll be able to make a chassis to hold the board at one end with some type of flexy bendy piece which will allow me to slide the battery in up to here. At the moment I'm going to say you can't get a 7.2 in, but I've test fitted it with the 7.2. I can get the battery 7.4, sorry, and I can get the 18500 to slide up to here, and then the board sits right at the end, and then the speaker can go in the pommel. So 7.4 is possible, but I'm going to say for the majority of people they're probably going to go for a Prism or a Nano if they build these, or maybe just even a Stunt, which is even easier. I'm planning on fitting the power button right here where this weld mark is. So when that's filed back, that will then be drilled and a weld hole will go in. The blade retention screw I'll be putting underneath here. For anyone that's going to do an OGS setup for a separate button, I would suggest probably doing it on this bit here or on the underside of this, but more than likely here would be the best place, so you could have your top for your power on and your OGS underneath on that. I mean, this wasn't something that I took lightly. I mean, when Erin first done the full switch, I was designing this sabre at the same time. I mean, this is a drawing. This drawing isn't this sabre. It should be stated. This came from a 3D print, which I got the permission from the designer to use to make these, get to use as a cast to make my sabres. This is a design picture, and you can see the date, the 10th of the 6th, 2014, and I was designing this sabre back then and I've got messages, and I spoke quite a lot about this. And Aaron, when Aaron posted up before he posted up the interest thread, when he was doing the Ventress and he had the idea to do it as well, we sort of both come up with the idea around about the same time from my knowledge. And I've got still got all the messages and the posts actually on the Imperial Royal Arms where I was speaking to Aaron about his design and stuff. We've had quite a lot of conversations over the last few years about particular sabre designs and things. And you can see I was coming up with all the dimensions, but the reason I dropped doing my own one was literally the cost involved. When Aaron sells his sabres and you think, well, why is the Ventress, the Force Witch, why is it costing so much more than the other lightsabers? You need to understand, when you're using 3-axis, 4-axis or 5-axis milling machines, and you've got to do all the design work that goes into it, not to mention the runtime the machines are running, it's just wasn't cost effective for me. Aaron could do it, he's got all of his own machinery, I don't. I'd need to sub this out to someone else to make for me. So when Aaron sells his sabres and you think, oh, that's ridiculous, they cost too much. No, they don't. For the amount